God found some of the strongest women and made them rattlers.
Talk about it.
While you were in college, you were crowned Miss FAMU. Now the church girls want to know, the world wants to know. I'm opposed to people huddling up in church and thinking that they can't do anything else. You are proof that you can do all kinds of things. First of all, tell us, how did that happen? Why were you interested in being Miss FAMU?
Well, a few things. I was going to FAMU games and things since I was like 2 years old. Both my parents are FAMU grads.
University. We got a lot of haters out there. Don't hate, appreciate.
But we love you. But so I was. I didn't have a choice as to where I was going to go to school. Literally didn't have a choice. Sent out many applications. Did not want to go to FAMU because I had gone to homecomings every year and all of that, and sent out all these applications. And my letters started to come in, and my dad said, "Oh wow, these are very fine colleges. But if my money is to pay for your education, you're going to Florida."
What a good dad!
And so I went to FAMU, but going to homecomings every year as a child growing up, of course, you see Miss FAMU all the time, and I thought, I want to be Miss FAMU. I knew that that would make my dad proud. And so I definitely wanted that to happen. But being Miss FAMU is not, it may be different now, but back then it wasn't a pageant. It was voting. You had to be elected Miss FAMU. And then you got to do talent and all that, and then they vote for you. And I was just telling Mr. Lawrence how much of a church girl I was in school. So I found my way to, I had my moments after school, but but while I was in college, I got saved when I was 16 in high school. So while I was in college, I was very much all I could think about was we're in church all the time, and I gotten involved in ministry there that I'm still very close to, and so I didn't know how I was going to get elected because I wasn't hanging out a lot, and I wasn't in a sorority, and I wasn't, I was in church. So how is this going to happen? And when I put in my paperwork to run for Miss FAMU, we got our campaign, all my church friends, we got our campaign strategy together, and God did it. God did it. And we had the best time. We had the best time running for Miss FAMU and then winning. I think my father's been proud. My father's not with us now, but I did a lot of things. A lot of, I later on went to do like the Miss America prelim and the Miss Florida and all of that, but none of that. Miss FAMU. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, that's nice." But Miss FAMU was the thing. So yeah, it was great.
What attracted you to the pageant world?
When I was doing back in the day, there was no American Idol, The Voice. Pageants actually was the way that you could hope to get discovered. Okay. So I was doing pageants because I always knew I wanted to be an actress. I always knew I wanted to be an artist. So I was doing it to hope somebody see me so that they can offer me a part. Yeah.
So did that was that a positive experience when it came to your self-esteem or self-worth? Or would you say a lot of negative things happen at pageants that causes women that perhaps did not have body issues or self-esteem issues or color issues that now they're traumatized and they feel badly about themselves as a result of those pageants?
It's a wonderful question. I think you have to have all that stuff before you start. If you don't, then definitely, because the goal that you're going for is an unrealistic one. When you have a swimsuit competition, you don't walk through life every day in a swimsuit. So you're actually leaning out, even you're making your body even more lean than you would on a daily basis, because you have to literally walk across the stage in a swimsuit. But working with a trainer, if you work with a trainer, a nutritionist and all of that, then you find out ways to do it the right way. I've done both. There was, when I first started pageants, I was one of the only black women doing the Miss Florida pageant. I did it twice, so being one of a very few, and the way our bodies are built, I just came across heavier when I just had some junk in my trunk, but it just seemed, I came across like I was heavy when I would look at the pictures. And so I didn't eat, and I tried to be thinner because I was trying to, in the lineup, not look fat. That was that year. The next year I got a nutritionist and a trainer, and realized I just had to work out differently, not starve myself, but work out differently and not get rid of what was inherently me, but just sort of be as lean as I could. And that experience was the best. So I've experienced the negative side and the positive side, which was actually learning about my health and working out and all of that, and the first time just not eating. And so both happens within the pageant world.
So you didn't develop any type of eating disorder as a result?
No, sister, I love food.
You're not one of those people that just pinches off lettuce all day.
No, and that's one of the things I love most about Atlanta. But it's great restaurants here. No, I mean, I'm health conscious. I'm always doing something. Somebody said, "What are you doing today?" "Oh, I'm doing paleo. I'm doing," I try a lot of things because I do believe that God wants us to honor the temple. Right. But in general, no, I'm not throwing up or starving myself or anything like that. And as an actress, you can do parts that will require you to change your weight or your look, but it has to be done in a healthy way. Or one, it won't last, and two, you'll end up sick.
You were the recipient of the Gracie Award for Outstanding Female Actress, which celebrates and honors programming created for women, about women, as well as individuals who have made exemplary contributions to media. Were any of these auditions or competitions an attack on your self-esteem or self-worth? Do you remember particular incidents that you had to question what was not a question before, your body image?
Absolutely. All the time. Because, when you don't get a part, you are rejected more than you are received. That's the nature of the business. Anybody wants to be an actress, I tell them all the time, understand that rejection comes with that. You get one yes after you've gotten 10 no's. Wow. And that's just how it is. So when you're getting a no, there's a reason for the no. And if you get feedback for it, it has something to do with you. It rarely is, "Oh, your audition just wasn't good." Most times it's, "Oh, she was too tall, we're looking for someone." Well, we're looking for someone a little lighter. So that really has nothing to do with you as an individual. It has to do with them and their piece and how you fit into it. But you don't hear it that way. When someone tells you you're too tall, you just go, "I'm too tall?" What can I do about that? Or you're not light enough, or you don't get hair things anymore because you can just fix that. Back in the day, you would get her hair is to this or her hair is to that. But it's always to something. And in the beginning, and if you aren't really sure, that can mess you up because you can constantly be chasing a fix. How can I fix that? And how can I fix that? And you will never fix it because the next project will be another to something. And so you learn as you grow in this business that you just have to be you. And they're gonna either want you or not want you because you're an actress. I'm an actress. I trained to be an actress and I can be the character that you want me to be. But in terms of this shell, it is what it is.
You exemplify such confidence.
Oh, no. I love you. With regard to that, but I'm not the most secure person in the world. But with regard to my physical, I can't do anything about it. I can lose a few pounds, gain a few pounds. That is within my control. But in terms of my height, my eyes, what my nose is doing, I have no interest in changing any of those things. I'm mad about my mother and my father, and they made this, and God made this, and so it is what it is. Now I enjoy the play within this, playing with hair and nails and being a girl, and having fun. I enjoy that, but in terms of trying to change anything, get my nose done, I gotta get my,
I was going to ask that. Have there been some auditions or parts that they suggested plastic surgery?
No. If they did, my agents didn't tell me.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's all good. It's definitely, your confidence is challenged. And I'm where I struggle, transparency here, but where I struggle is probably with regard to my work. I'm constantly, because I work really hard at my craft, and so I'm constantly, did they like it? Oh, I gotta work harder. I gotta work on that moment more. And watching yourself on television, you go like, oh, I could have done that better. So I definitely maybe struggle in the confidence area with regard to work. But I think that's a good thing, because I don't want to get to the point where I'm like, I was fabulous. I kind of enjoy my husband says this about me. He says, you just enjoy pushing and working, and so I'll never get to that point. My husband is a professor in New York, and he teaches actors. So he heads an acting department at the New School of Drama in New York, and so he's constantly telling me when I say, how was it? And he'll say, it was great. And I was like, I don't know, I think I could have, I know, you think you could? And so he's constantly saying, I think you like that. I think that's what sort of keeps you motivated. It's my thing, but it's not good. It's not a good way to be. You should be able to look at your work at some point in life and say, yeah, that was good. God did. He said, it is good.
That's good.
What other women have inspired and empowered you as an actress?
Oh, wow. Many. My mom first. I became an actress because my mom was over the drama department at her school. She was a 12th grade English teacher, and she was responsible for the senior productions. And so I had to sit in on all of her rehearsals. So I became an actress from watching her direct and watching all those productions. So she's the first. And then the actresses, well, Felicia Rashad is a huge, I love her. And Cicely Tyson, of course. And the one that I've always loved, we lost recently, Ruby Dee. So those are my favorites.
Great favorites. I love that. I saw I think last year, one of my birthdays, I went to Broadway to watch Cicely Tyson and James Earl Jones. And,
Trip to Bountiful? Oh, no, I know which one, with James Earl Jones and Sissy.
Yes.
Was that not amazing?
I was in awe. I thought, how old are these people? How do they remember all these lines?
I think that was in there. But yes, I mean, one of them, not Cicely, has a monitor saying lines. But not Cicely.
Yes, now. I watched all of you at Aretha Franklin's funeral, sitting on that front row, sitting next to her with Tyler Perry and just honoring Aretha Franklin. It moved me to tears. Wow. That Have and Have Nots was her favorite show. And how did all of you just change all of your schedules and showed up and sat through that hours and hours, that production? The Queen had a production. And I was guilty. I was stuck to that television. Like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I think I forgot several times it was a funeral.
Yes, yeah. You know what, we, some years prior, Miss Franklin sent for us. She sent for a few of us. And I had never been sent for before, so I was like, her publicist called and said, she wants you to come to her concert this date, and she wants to meet you. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, let me get my ticket. You know, it's Aretha Franklin. I grew up with Aretha Franklin. So we went to her concert a few years ago, and it was amazing. And then she brought us backstage, and we met her family. And she said she's a very kind of quiet woman, because I expected us to go party and have a good time. But she said, she came up to me and she said, well, Miss Veronica. And so it was myself and Hannah and Peter, who plays David, who plays my husband. So it was the three of us. And she said, well, Miss Veronica. Then she looked at Peter and she says, what you gonna do with her? And we just, we had a great conversation, and she talked about how much she loved the show and loved Tyler, and it was just like I was talking to my aunt. And she embraced us, and she thanked us for coming, and then her family got all of our information. So when she passed away, they contacted us, and they said, we really want you to come. She would want you to come. And it was a no-brainer. At first I was like, well, I have a 6-month-old, and I had never left him. And I thought, well, I probably can't go. And my husband said, no, we'll all go. So my husband and baby stayed in the hotel room, and they thought, you go to the funeral, you'll be right back, we'll wait for you.
Anyone else's funeral? But the funeral for the Queen.
Yes, it was great. I mean, I went to the bathroom once, but some of my castmates never went. I was like, y'all, what kind of bladders? But they came. You didn't see this part on TV, but they would come and slip snacks. And so we didn't, we weren't in a diabetic comas or anything. We got to eat, which was, there wasn't a boring moment.
No, not at all.
The time definitely flew, but we realized at the end that it had been all day. But it didn't feel like that as it was happening.
I enjoyed it so much, I watched it twice. I watched it without my husband, and I watched it with my husband, just as if I had not seen it the first time.
I love it.
You began your acting career on Broadway, off-Broadway. You performed in 3 of my favorite plays, Color Purple, Dreamgirls, I'm a dream girl, and The Wizard of Oz. I grew up on The Wizard of Oz. How did you prepare for these roles spiritually? Is there a ritual? I know you've got it down pat, all the things you have to do in the natural, but how do you prepare spiritually for these roles? Dealing with different individuals, various personalities, various locations.
Oh, well, those three, I'm so happy those are your favorite, because those three, all three are so special to me. The Wizard of Oz, I had the great pleasure to understudy Miss Eartha Kitt. And so that was just heaven. I walked around with my mouth open the whole time. And she'd go, Angela, darling, you'll never go home. I went on one time, she had a commercial to film, and then she came back and said, it will never happen again. But spiritually, all of those have a great spiritual. My husband proposed to me during Dream Girls. Wow. Came out on stage in front of an audience of 1,800, got down on one knee, and said, when I saw you, I said, oh my, that's a dream. I said yes, 21 years ago. But spiritually, I always knew. I read a book many years ago when I was pursuing acting called In Pursuit of Purpose by Miles Monroe. And that book changed my life because it put in perspective what I was doing. It wasn't about me. It wasn't, oh, I want to be an actress. No. God has purposed you to do this thing. Now let's move in it from that perspective. And so every time, auditioning is difficult because, as I said, there's a lot of rejection. So when you do book a job, every time I book a job, it becomes about, why do you want me there? Why that show? Why those people? Am I sent to receive knowledge or to give knowledge? Why am I there? And in the beginning, it was all about fishermen of men. It was all about, in the beginning, I was, everybody gonna be saved by the time I leave this thing. That's because that's how I got saved.
So that's marketplace ministry, though.
Definitely, yes. And in the beginning, it was really that. God, wisdom. I got wisdom. And so I learned that same concept, fishermen of men, but it was more about show people the love of God. Show them how God moves and breathes in the world. And so everywhere you go, that's why I didn't have a choice not to know my lines, because I'm representing the King.
So you were modeling the gospel.
And so you know, in all of those experiences, I can remember getting the job. I can remember being there and standing on the sidelines and praying for people silently. And I can remember all the friends now that I've taken away from those jobs, and how much I admired watching them, and now some of them are my best friends. But God was doing a thing in The Color Purple anyway. That was one of those things we ended. The show ended with, look what God has done. That's the way the show ends. So every night we were all like, yes, Lord. I think we had one Buddhist in the play whom we loved. We loved there was no, she didn't feel any kind of discrimination or anything. We would circle up, we'd be like, come on, friend. And she would be right with us. But I can remember coming off stage one time with her, look what God has done, and curtain closed, and we had either gotten a closing notice or something tragic was happening. The show was ending, and that means unemployment for actors. So we were very down about it. And we all gathered in front of the curtain and just started to pray and praise God. And it was so beautiful because everybody's at a different place in their walk. So everybody we weren't all in the same spot, but we were all in the same spot. Yeah. And we all received one another and held one another. So I love seeing God move in those situations, especially because I think that creating, when you're in a position to create something, if you're an artist, you're in a position to create something, a play, a musical, a song, a book, you're actually extremely close to God in that moment, because that's what he did. He created us. I think he created us to be creators. And so if you have the opportunity to create anything, it is a spiritual act. And so it's a spiritual environment when you've created this musical together and you see people love it and all of that, and you find out it's ending or whatever the situation is, it just makes you closer, spiritually closer to God and closer to each other.
Your eyes light up when you share that. I can tell that you're very passionate about that. I love that. You mentioned earlier about colorism. Colorism is a prejudice against people who have darker skin tone or preferential treatment of those who are of the same race but of a lighter skin. Do the light-skinned black women have it easier in showbiz, would you say? And have you had any battles as a result of colorism?
I may have, but I didn't know about it. I may have. I'm sure I have. I think that the light-skinned women, I think it's changed from, let's say, the 60s and 70s. Maybe I would have said yes then. But brown is trending. So I think
so we're in style.
We're in style. So I think that I think our lighter sisters are feeling that. And, I have a few, sister girlfriends who are like, oh my goodness, they're wanting me to, learn a Spanish accent, or because that's the sort of the lane they're trying to put them in. But I hate that we have to be in style. I hate that, oh, now this is in style. Then next week, full lips won't be in style. And all the people who got the surgery, now I got to go get another surgery. And, I just
implants, they get a butt.
and
now
then
we have to lose the butt.
Right. I just think, do you. And if whatever makes you feel good about the way you look, do that. But brown is definitely, Wakanda forever,